Hey folks, if you like what I'm putting out here on Geekdom 101 and want to hear my thoughts on other aspects of geek culture like video games, TV shows, movies, pro wrestling, and more, check out my second channel, World of Geekdom. I will leave a link down below for you to check that out. I thank you and I hope you enjoy it. Chapter 85 of the Dragon Ball Super manga answered a question we have been wondering about for the past few months, and that is, what really was the wish that Elec made to the Cerulean Dragon? Was it the same exact wish that Granola made, except it was made after, or are there different principles? Was there a different alteration of this wish made? This chapter gave us what I think is a very interesting answer. And along with that story point came the continuation of the seemingly never-ending struggle between the Saiyans and Gas of the Heaters. No Granola in sight despite this arc being named after him. Now obviously sitting Granola out for a few chapters is nothing too crazy. Dragon Ball back in the day would sit Goku out for literally weeks and weeks before Toriyama brought him back into the story. So to me, this is not really a fair complaint about Granola not being involved, because obviously he's going to be involved. It's just not his time yet. Let's wait and actually see what they do with him. The first part of this chapter continues Ultra Ego Vegeta's fight with Gas, and at first, Vegeta is loving it because Gas is hitting Vegeta with powerful attacks, and Vegeta is absorbing the damage and getting stronger in his Ultra Ego form, something we saw him do all the way back in the Granola arc. Vegeta's talked about multiple times that with Ultra Ego, he gets stronger as he fights. And Gas starts to worry, but he busts out a very unique new variation on the instantaneous movement, the teleportation, where now Gas can actually teleport other people using the same move, and he does so to bounce Vegeta all over the battlefield. This is a brand new variation to the technique, as I said a minute ago, and one that not even Goku has ever done before. Vegeta is, while absorbing some of the damage, still getting very much beaten up by Gas, and so he tells Goku that he doesn't think that Goku has really figured out the right way to use Ultra Instinct, so he tells Goku to leave the battlefield while he takes on Gas and to go figure out what to do with his transformation. So Goku does that. I felt like it was a tiny bit uncharacteristic of Goku to just leave Vegeta behind, especially against a very dangerous opponent like Gas. That was a weird move, and I feel like it would have made more sense if Goku was still there watching the fight, not interfering, but keeping his eyes open in case the Heaters were going to attack, or in case Gas maybe came close to killing Vegeta so he could save him. Instead, he actually leaves to go think about what to do with his form. I didn't really like that. So while Goku is off taking some time to himself to figure out what to do about this Ultra Instinct situation, Vegeta's trying his best against Gas, but he's getting pummeled left and right by Gas. Even though Vegeta appears to be confident in the power of Ultra Ego, he's also getting weaker by the boatloads. The sheer brutality of these panels, to me, makes me happy because it really shows just how dangerous Gas and even Vegeta himself have become compared to how they were earlier in this very same arc. But like the tough son of a bitch that he is, Vegeta continues to fight, smiling with every attack, taunting Gas, telling him he's not man enough to finish him off. He didn't actually say it in those words, but you get what I'm saying. He's pretty much punking out Gas because he wants Gas to keep hitting him so he can get stronger. But Vegeta's in a lot of pain. Even still, the Heaters who are nearby are even shocked to see that Vegeta has these balls. And to me, that's one thing that people have always liked about Vegeta's character, or at least I have, is that the bastard never gives up. He will fight you until the very, very end, and that is a very likable trait on that character. And I know that there have been times where Vegeta's been a coward, like, for example, against Broly in the Dragon Ball Z Broly movie, the first one. But I mean, we're not talking about that. We're talking about this Vegeta here, not that Vegeta there. Either way, Vegeta's always been the guy to go as much as he can, as long as he can, until he can't go anymore. Gas lays out Vegeta, and is about to finish him off by manifesting a giant sword to stab him with. Suddenly an energy barrier appears out of nowhere, and it is Goku created that around Vegeta to protect him to save the day. And this time Goku's ready to get back into the fight. So while Vegeta is inside of Goku's barrier, he telekinetically lifts him up and carries him over to safety near him as he prepares to step in and take his place against Gas. Now, Gas is expecting Goku to use the blue-haired form or the silver-haired form, but instead, Goku powers up into Ultra Instinct Omen or Ultra Instinct Sign. Now, in some of the early leaks for this chapter that came out a few days ago, the original leaker talked about how this is a new version of Ultra Instinct. He thought that's what this was, but that was a mistranslation. It's apparently just the Omen version of UI, but I think people might be a bit confused because you may be wondering, well, why would Goku use the Omen UI as opposed to the silver-haired mastered or perfected UI? Because we know that the perfected UI is more powerful and faster. Goku himself says that to properly utilize the Ultra Instinct Silver form, you have to pretty much empty your head and allow your body to move by itself instinctually, whereas with Ultra Instinct Omen, while you're using some of the properties of that, your emotions can be a part of the power too. So what Goku's kind of trying to do here is to use his emotions, his excitement, his rage, or whatever to give him a power boost while also still keeping some of the speed benefits of Ultra Instinct. At least that's the way that I'm interpreting it. To be honest, as a fan of Dragon Ball and also somebody who covers this on YouTube, I'm a little bit annoyed at the fact that they are going so wishy-washy with Ultra Instinct. It's like every other month we find out something new about this form, and it's either unnecessary or kind of a way to get out of riding themselves to a corner, and it's become more and more apparent that the more they change things with UI, the less sense that it makes, because what ends up happening is that Goku with Ultra Instinct Omen does better against Gas than Goku did with perfected Ultra Instinct. Now, obviously, a part of that could be because of the fact that when Gas sees Goku with his black hair, he thinks about Bardock and has that PTSD flashback, and maybe that threw Gas off guard. Maybe that kind of messed with him mentally. Let's not forget that one of the ancient principles of martial arts and combat is that if somebody can psych you out mentally, you might not be able to physically perform, and that seems to be a factor, at least, as to how Gas was doing so much poorer, because he sees that traditional classic black-haired Goku haircut. It reminds him of Bardock, and his brain turns into Linguini, you know what I'm saying? And that's the only logical explanation for this, because to me, I don't know why Goku would go back if we spent a big chunk of the moral arc getting Goku to finally get to this state where he can control silver-haired UI at will. It does seem like a step in the wrong direction, but it wound up having a nice consequence for Goku because Gas does not do as well. Some of these fighting panels are really, really good. Seeing Goku and Gas go at it and pummel each other. You know, I've talked about how Toyotaro has improved as a artist when it comes to doing combat, and he's still pretty good at it, at least based on what we saw in this chapter. In fact, the heaters themselves are almost killed in the skirmish. Goku using the classic Kamehameha is always a treat. So we begin to see Goku take the advantage in the fight, pummeling Gas and knocking him backwards in retreat as Goku is really going aggressively here in this onslaught, which leads to Goku busting out for the first time since, well, he was in the Grade 8 form all the way back in Dragon Ball, a Mouth Blast. Mouth Blasts are usually done by villains like Nappa, and we saw King Piccolo do it before, and even Piccolo Jr. at one point did it, and we saw Broly do it, even though he's not really a villain. He just has that great Grade 8 energy inside of his regular humanoid energy. So Goku, for the first time in his humanoid form, not his Grade 8 form, does a Mouth Blast. Kind of interesting. I mean, the panel looked pretty cool, and it was something unexpected, but I'm not sure it was really that special. So a frustrated and somewhat discombobulated Gas manifests a number of different weapons to attack Goku with right there into the sky. Then, in probably what was my favorite sequence of the entire chapter, Goku like jukes and jives and like dodges his way through all of the different weapons and grabs onto a giant ball and chain that Gas had created and uses it against Gas. So Gas gets a taste of his own medicine as he lifts up his arms to try to block the ball and chain, but then Goku sees an opening and connects with a huge kick to Gas's midsection, knocking him away. At this point, it appears like Gas might actually lose this fight. Elec shows up and gives Gas a pep talk. He talks to him about how it's important for him to basically allow the Heaters to become the strongest force in the universe, and that eventually they're going to have to overthrow Frieza, but if he can't win this fight, they might not ever get there. And this pep talk is what kind of reveals the truth about the wish that Elec made. The wish that Elec made to the dragon allows Gas to get stronger and stronger and stronger, but just like with Granola, it shortens his lifespan. However, in this situation, every time that Gas powers up, his body and his face look older. So the longer the fight goes, the faster Gas ages until eventually we can assume he's going to die. So Gas is going to keep getting pushed to his limits and have to overcome those limits, but every time he does, it costs him some time on Earth. And remember, Elec made this wish without actually telling Gas the details of this wish. So it's obvious to me that Elec is just going to use Gas to defeat Goku, Vegeta, and Granola. That's what his plot is, and to later on not even give a damn about Gas's life or saving him or any of that. Elec is a complete narcissist, someone who only cares about himself and will use his own family members for his gain. So Gas is just a weapon, a tool for him, and you can see that in the foreshadowing of the character and by reading the character since he was introduced many, many months ago. Elec's speech is enough to allow Gas to power up and transform again, but this time he does look a hell of a lot scarier, but also a heck of a lot older, almost like his body is withering away. So now, going into the next manga chapter, because that is the cliffhanger, Goku and Vegeta and maybe Granola will have to face off against a more powerful Gas, but also one who is aging. So can the heroes just basically play the waiting game and keep getting this guy to power himself up until he finally does himself in, or will something else come into play? That remains to be seen next time. So what are my thoughts on this manga chapter? Honestly, I feel like the pacing for this final battle has come to a screeching halt. Things aren't really progressing that quickly, and it feels like Toyotaro is sort of dragging out this fight. And if the fight is good, I'm not really complaining about it, but there was very little story progression this month. I feel like there were maybe 1 or 2 points that continued the story. The rest of it was just a big fight. Now again, Dragon Ball fights are usually great, so you're not going to hear me bitch about that. But it's also a situation where the Granola arc, in my opinion, is getting a little bit long in the tooth. And I really want this story to progress a little bit faster. Remember, this is a monthly manga, not a weekly manga. So because it's monthly and there are more pages per a traditional weekly Shonen Jump weekly manga, it gives them more story to write, but also we have to wait a longer time to see progression. So I feel like with that being said, they got to pick up the pace, because I, for one, am just a little bit fed up with having to wait for a resolution, and also it does feel like it's dragging on, which really is no surprise because it is drag on ball, as they used to say back in the day. And at the same time, I did enjoy most of what I read here. I didn't really hate anything, to be honest. There were just some things that were a little bit annoying, like the whole Ultra Instinct Omen usage. I thought that was kind of pointless, although they explained it or I figured it out. It's still something where, I don't know, man, it feels like we're going backwards here, and I don't know where we're going to end up. But basically, it was an okay chapter. It's an okay thumbs in the middle chapter. Not terrible, but not amazing either. So let's see if they stick the landing for this arc. With that being said, thanks for watching. Have a great day. I'll talk to y'all in the future.